What's up, peeps? I'm back. This is Kimberly Purpose. I wanted to do another vlog, and this time I want to do one about loving your inner child. I think this is going to be sort of like another relationships video, but instead it's going to be dealing more with parenting. You know, for y'all, I don't know that I'm a single mom. I have 3 beautiful children, 2 boys and a girl, who I love and adore so much. But anyway, I just wanted to share my experiences, you know, as far as the inner child goes. I do personally believe that it's important to let your children know that you actually love and care about them. I think words are very powerful, and it makes a difference when you tell your kids that you actually love them, you actually care about them, and that they're beautiful and they're special. You know, if it's a girl, she's beautiful. If it's a boy, he's handsome. And I think it's very important to hear it from your parents. Now, with me, when I was growing up, I love my mom so much, but she grew up in a time where parents didn't really focus on telling the kids that they love them. They just do, you know. She is a baby boomer, and her and my dad was, he just passed away, but and I guess they didn't see the importance of telling your children that they're smart and beautiful. They just work hard, you provide, and and that was that. It was not, they weren't very affectionate. And me, I'm a hugger. I like to hug. Let people know I love, hey, I love you. But that's just part of my personality. But they weren't into that. And instead, sometimes, I might have been, a little attacked, saying, it was quite the opposite, that whatever I do was never good enough. I'm not smart enough, not pretty enough, no matter what. You hear that all the time as a child. It sort of messes with your self-esteem. And I think that had a lot to do with me and my self-esteem issue. And plus, the fact that I think now when I look back, I think I might have had dyslexia studying psychology and, and education and everything. I look back on my past, I wasn't the smartest kid in the classroom, especially in elementary school. When I read, everything looked like a blur to me. I used to get so frustrated because I didn't understand the words. I couldn't tell when one letter started and when the other letter, when it ended at the end of the sentence. Everything was just a big blob. And being told by teachers and who weren't understanding, and my mom probably, everybody getting on me about not catching on, saying, what's wrong with you, are you dumb? And it really hurts your feeling, worse with your self-esteem. But finally my mom put me in a different school, and they put me in a classroom that actually helped me. I think back then it was called chapter 1 or something like that. Or yeah, I think it was chapter 1 or something. And where they pull the kids and work with them. And I think now that I look back on it, I think I had dyslexia. And I had a hard time, catching on with reading. But when I finally did, I finally had a aha moment when I was in 5th grade. So I said, whoa, I finally caught on. But what I want to say is, your inner child is when, oftentimes when we're adults, if you grew up in a household where you didn't feel, hear this, your parents tell you they love you and how beautiful and smart you are, even regardless of your circumstances, it sometimes tear at you with your self-esteem issues. And so sometimes you have to actually mend your heart and your mind by replacing it with love and telling yourself positive affirmations that you're smart, you're beautiful. And even though you might not hear it from your loved one that you're loved, you can tell yourself that you're loved and that you're beautiful and smart. and special. And so that's how you feed your inner child and bring out your positive. I know my daughter came up and asked me, Mom, why didn't you do as well as I did when I, growing up? And I told her the difference is between me and her is every day since the day she was born, I always told her how beautiful and special and how smart she was. I always told her that. I told her, I told my son that. I want them to know that they're loved. I want them to know that they are special. I hug them. I let them know that every day. I want them to know from the day that I die that their mom loved me and that she told me that I was smart and beautiful. And see, I felt like I didn't get that when I was growing up. And I know my mom, at first I was upset with my mom, but I love her dearly and I forgive her. It's all forgiven. She's doing a lot better now than she did when she was younger. My mom, it was a learning process for her because she was only doing what she was taught. And I don't know if it's a generational thing. But she grew up in an era where, in a time where parents just didn't do that hardly, because people worked hard, especially African Americans back in the day. You were finding the civil rights movement, and you always having to prove yourself. You have to be tough. You got to be strong. And you just didn't have time to think about that, and she grew, and her parents, grew up even in the harder times when there were Jim Crow laws and they had to deal and fight with the injustice and everything, and they didn't have time to tell the kids that. They were all working. My parents were sharecroppers. My dad was sharecroppers. My mom was a maid. She worked in with white family and clean houses, back in the day during the 40s and 50s, and that's how it was back then for African Americans. But times are different now. But I know I try to put that into perspective. I don't know if it was a racial thing or it may be just a generational thing across the board for all people of all cultural backgrounds that parents experience. But me being a Generation X, I know my mom just, that's what she knew from her parents, and she just did it with me, and I needed that love. I needed to hear that from my mom. And I remember one day she finally told me, Kim, I love you. And she actually gave me a hug. And I think one time she just, it took a lot out of her, but she told me she was proud. And I had to give my mom a hug. Because it's just not, she's just not an affectionate person like that. But actually hearing it from my mom's mouth meant the world. That was priceless. That was priceless. So I just want to tell you all to love yourself, to love your inner child. This is for those who felt like they didn't get the love that they deserve when they're growing up and didn't hear it from loved ones. But if you don't hear it from loved ones, it's important to learn to, heal it. Make sure you do it for yourself. That's the most important. In order for people to love you in return, you got to be able to love yourself. And love the inner child, even as an adult. You're grown and you're adult, but, you still had an inner child within you that you need to, heal. And for those who, didn't experience it, good, that's a great thing. But for those who have experienced it like me, you just have to see things from a different perspective. But I look forward to hearing from you guys. I would love to, hear what you are done to heal your inner child, and also would love to hear your parenting styles on how you inspire your kids to love themselves and build self-esteem, and positive learning. Positive learning of self-worth. That's what I was trying to say. But leave your comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Hearing from you guys. I'm getting tongue-tied. Hearing from you guys. Till next time. Peace. Bye-bye. And love yourself. And love your heart. Bye-bye.